Rotary International President Mark Daniel Maloney's theme for this year asks us Rotarians to strengthen the many ways that Rotary connects the world, building connections that allow talented, thoughtful, and generous people to unite and take meaningful action through Rotary service. Our club demonstrates every day how we are living President Maloney's mission with our local and international service projects through unity, connections, and action. My name is Jacqueline Thornhill, and for the next 3.5 or so weeks, I'm still honored to be your 97th president of the greatest Rotary Club in the world. Thank you for participating in our Facebook live stream or Zoom. On this day in TV history in 1955, The Mickey Rooney Show was aired on NBC for the last time. In music history in 1992, the U.S. Postal Service announced that people preferred the younger Elvis stamp design in a nationwide vote. U.S. president history in the year 2000, in Moscow, President Bill Clinton concluded 2 days of talks with Russia's President Putin. Quote of the day comes from Albert Einstein. The difference between stupidity and genius is that genius has its limits. Please open up the mic for Stu Lipoff, please, as he delivers our invocation.
Okay, thank you, President Jackie. Could you put up the first slide? And good afternoon, fellow Libertarians. To say we are living in unsettled times is clearly an understatement. When in my life I felt the need to overcome whatever, I've drawn strength from a somewhat obscure author's poem about self-determination that was written in the late 1800s. Before I read the poem, however, I want to share a little bit of background about the author that gives some context to what you're about to hear. As a young man, only 16 years old, William Henley lost his left leg from complications from tuberculosis. Less than 3 years later, at the tender age of 19, his doctors informed him his right leg also needed to be amputated. However, rather than go with the flow and without the benefit of the internet, he did his research and he undertook a 466-mile trip from Southeast England to Edinburgh to seek help from the avant-garde surgeon, Joseph Lister, who was able to save his leg. While recovering from Lister's successful rescue of his right leg, he was inspired to write this poem. Next page, please, Jackie. So the poem is titled Invictus, which means unconquered in Latin. And the words are kind of magic to me. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters now how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Last slide, President Jackie, for a couple footnotes. So this was a kind of obscure author who wrote a bunch of stuff, but his poem is inspired more than me. Winston Churchill paraphrased it in the House of Commons. Nelson Mandela, while incarcerated, drew strength from it. The one that really got to me was James Stockdale, who was a vice presidential candidate, as you remember. As a U.S. POW in North Vietnam, he recalls being passed the last stanza written on rat droppings on toilet paper from fellow prisoner Dan Hatcher. So, President Obama also was well aware of it and quoted it. So it's found its way to people much more important than I am in terms of inspiring them. So thank you all for your attention, and back to you, President Jackie.
Thank you, Stu. That was very nicely done. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It is the first meeting of the month, and it's been a while since we have recited the four-way test. I don't want the mics unmuted because it's a little confusing, but let's all recite it. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Our Sergeant at Arms today is Captain, whoops, I almost demoted you there, Kurt, is Captain Kirk Holmes. And I would like to, we don't have any introductions today with the exception of our virtual head table, which is Clark County Clerk Lynn Goya, and she will be more deeply introduced a little bit later. I'd like to thank the Rotarians who helped out today. Invocation by Stu Lipoff. Sergeant at Arms is Kirk Holmes. Our scribe is Jana Velasco. All things technical are Kirk Holmes and Stu Lipoff. My announcements, the People of Action campaign continues. Please send me your photos. Some of you have been doing so, and I'm certainly willing to put them in the last few reels that I will be editing. A reminder that your monthly or quarterly contributions to our Las Vegas Rotary Foundation is what helps fund our projects. Please consider donating to the endowment fund if you're making out your contributions to help keep our club legacy moving. Lowry's is preparing to open. Unfortunately, I do not have any definitive information as yet regarding a possible live meeting on June 18th. I did receive that they had shut down on Sunday afternoon, which is normally a delivery and a pickup day. Not sure exactly why, but they shut down completely and refunded. So I'll find out from Ed and Michelle as soon as I can. The virtual green book, if there are some live events that you are interested in, please go to the wheel, or there is a link that comes around in our, that came around in the fifth wheel, so you can sign up for the live events we do have scheduled. I have a couple of more opportunities for your virtual craft talk. If you would like to highlight your business in the wheel, please send me your logo, a profile picture, and a maximum 250 words description. Now please turn over the microphone to Tony Kern for an induction of new members.
There you go. You're good to go.
Okay, before I do the induction, I would like to also mention, I did it belatedly, we do have a returning guest, a prospective member, Albert Angulo. He has returned a second time.
Welcome.
And thank you, President Jackie, fellow Rotarians. On behalf of the Rotary Club of Las Vegas, it is my privilege and honor to induct a new member today. Please allow me to introduce to you Lieutenant Inga Almquist. Inga, you are beginning a great adventure in leadership, in friendship, in service to your community and to your fellow men and women, adding to your current service to our country as a lieutenant in the United States Air Force assigned at the Creech Air Force Base, and for which we thank you. The Rotary Club has invited you to membership and has accepted you as a person of good character, high ethical standards, and a person who has the heart of service. You have been invited to join Rotary, but it will be through your own actions, Inga, that you become a Rotarian. You will be provided with many opportunities through your Rotary Club and district to enhance and expand your professional and personal skills, and these opportunities can provide great value to you. You will be provided with many opportunities to provide service to others through our club service, vocational service, community, and international service. We welcome your strong arm and strong heart for service in joining the club to engage in Rotary International's current theme, Rotary Connects the World. When we join Rotary, Inga, we become part of something much bigger than ourselves. At a later time, you will be provided with a Rotary pin by which your fellow Rotarians and the community at large will recognize you as a Rotarian. We ask that you wear that pin with pride. With that, it is my pleasure and honor, Inga, to declare you duly inducted to the Las Vegas Rotary Club, the best Rotary Club in the world. And if we can all be unmuted maybe for a moment to welcome our newest member to the family of Rotary.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome, Inga.
Welcome, Inga. Would you like to unmute for a minute and you have a word or two you'd like to say?
Sure. You can hear me.
Hear
It's
you.
really cool finally getting a chance to do this. I've wanted to be in Rotary ever since I was running around after my parents while they were doing their Rotary functions. And I'm kind of tearing up right now. It's really great to finally be able to do something I've looked forward to literally my whole life. So thank you all.
Thank
Well, welcome.
you.
We look forward to seeing you at the membership orientation. Okay, it is also the first meeting of the month, which means it's the birthday table. So let's see who's here. Mike Ballard, I know you're here. Unmute Mike Ballard, please.
Yes, I was born many moons ago at Nellis Air Force Base. Lifelong member of the club, probably 25 years now, on my 26th year, I think, this year in the club.
All right, and thank you for your service and your upcoming service. Next on the list is Gina Gentleman, but I don't believe I've seen her today. Okay, Jim Hunt, you're next up.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for the birthday wishes that sent them to me yesterday. Got quite a few. Appreciate that very much. Been in the club this is my 28th year. Joined in 92 and actually was coming for a few years before that. So it's a big part of my life, like all of you. And I can't imagine every day without it. Love it. Love all you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Next up, Tom Crow.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. This is Tom Crow. Tomorrow is my 70th birthday. And on my 70th birthday, I guess you could say that I've been in Rotary half my life now. I joined in 86. So congratulations to all of our other birthday people today.
Thank you, Tom. Dr. Nikki Bates, I know she's here somewhere. She said in the chat that she's here. Hello, Nikki Bates is here.
Finally, I'm unmuted now. Hi. Yes, super happy to be a member of Rotary. I'm the baby, I think, in today's table, from what I can tell, in years involved in Rotary for sure. Not so much age, but definitely in years. I've been a member since 2019, February of 2019. So I'm the newbie to the group as far as it sounds like for the birthday table. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Barbara Billitzer, is she here somewhere? I don't believe I saw her. Benjamin Klink, is he here somewhere? Nope. Ginger Anderson, I know she's here.
I'm here. I have been honored to be a member of the club since 2003, so just over 17 years. And I love my Rotary family, and I'm so happy to be part of this group. And happy birthday, Jim. Happy birthday, Tom and Nikki and everybody else.
Oh, sweet.
Thank you, Ginger. Howie Hopkinson. We have a lot this month. Howie Hopkinson, anywhere?
Howie's unmuted and he's on, so start talking, Howie.
Are you around, Howie?
He's on twice, unmuted once. Oh, can't hear me.
Oh yeah, Howie's on twice. Ask to unmute. Okay, Howie, we'll get back to you in a second here. Adric Akupi, one of our newer members. Adric, are you here? Okay. Bob Kaufman, I don't believe he's here. Gary Voss, I haven't seen Gary. Not good, not attending. You know what that means. Tom Brooker? Tom Brooker anywhere? Nope. And last but not least, your humble president. And I must let you all know that in my meetings with the past presidents as I was preparing for this year, every one of them to a person said that your president year would be the most fun, the most energetic, and the most passionate. Absolutely, that's been the truth. It's been a true honor, and I'll be celebrating my 10th year in this club. So, Mr. Ted, where are you? I'm going to let you sing happy birthday because I can't carry a tune.
All right, here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rotarians. Happy birthday to you.
And those of you who are not here today, thank you so much for your $97 contribution to the Las Vegas Rotary Foundation Permanent Fund. Okay, let's see where we are next. All right, announcements. Please give the mic to Tony Kern, please, about the upcoming membership orientation.
Hi, everybody. June 16th, we are celebrating Inga, Bhavin, and Adric Akupi. So we have the memo that went out by email inviting everyone to the orientation June 16th, 6 p.m. at Jerry Engel's house. We are starting to get some RSVPs, but it's important that if you plan on attending, and you're not required to do so, that you do it on or before June 9th. That's our deadline date. We have to have a set sum so that we can get the list to Jerry to get to the security people. And more importantly, we have to figure out our food and beverage. So we encourage everyone to come, introduce yourselves to our new people, and help them learn all about our Rotary family.
Thank you, Tony. Please give the microphone to President-elect Richard Jost regarding the International Convention and District Assembly.
Richard, if you want, just go ahead and unmute. Go right ahead.
Okay, I think I did.
You're good.
And I hope everybody either has two computer screens in front of them right now so they can be looking at the wheel at the same time we're looking at each other, or perhaps you printed out the wheel before the meeting. But if neither of those is true, I would encourage you to go back after the meeting and print out today's wheel, because in the wheel we have both the schedule for the virtual Rotary International Convention on June 20 through 26. And for those of you who are early risers, you will have no trouble participating in the live sessions at 6 a.m. On each of those days. And for those who are not early risers, I am optimistic that they will be rebroadcast during each of those days so that everyone can participate in those sessions. Also in today's wheel, you will find a list with a little bit more of a description of each of the sessions of the District 5300 virtual district assembly. As you will recall, district assembly should have been last week, but because we couldn't get together in Pasadena, the district is doing it virtually. Each of you should have received an invitation to RSVP so that you could log into each of those Zoom,
Go to meeting.
Go to meetings, thank you. Sessions, thank you, Jackie. Well, I think we had about 260 people on Tuesday night for the first session, and now there'll be tonight and each of the following Thursday nights in the month of June. And again, in the wheel, you will see the description of each of the sessions that will be on Thursday nights, who will be speaking, who will be the featured speakers, and what the agenda will be. If you missed the Tuesday night session, which I think probably should have been called Corporate Governance for Nonprofit or Not-for-Profit Corporations 101, it was really an excellent review of the basics of what everyone who is on the board of directors should know and should realize they are obligated to. And so if you are on the board of directors or will be on the board of directors starting in July, and you were not able to join the meeting on Tuesday night, I would very much encourage you to go to district5300.org and log into the recorded version of that session. I haven't been able to tell whether the PowerPoint slides are there or not, or they weren't there yesterday, but hopefully they'll be there by today. Excellent PowerPoint slides that went with the Tuesday program. Also, if you are on the board next year, I heartily encourage you, if you're not going to the debunking on Thursday, the 25th, to please register and join the district assembly on Thursday, June 25th.
Well, they're all going to the debunking party, Richard, so we can forget that.
Well, and then we're going to have to figure out some way so that as people do the makeup or watch the recorded version, we will qualify for district matching fund or district funds grants for the following year. There's still some talk about whether that's actually going to be a requirement this year that we have 2 people attend that session. But just to be on the safe side, we certainly want to have at least 2 members of the board attending it. And I've mentioned to District Governor-elect Greg Jones that is the night of our debunking party. And so we would like some sort of dispensation to qualify for the district funds, grants, without actually participating on Thursday, June 25th. And we'll find out how that goes. Worst comes to worst, at least 2 of us will have to be watching on our smartphones while Jackie is being dunked.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Highway cleanup, June 20th, Starts at 8 o'clock. Meet out at Bonnie Springs. In order to go to the brunch at Jerry Senes's home, you must be on the RSVP list. So once again, any of the live events, go to the virtual clipboard or send your RSVP to Sean. Please give the microphone to Melanie Muldowney, Foundation Matching Points.
Melanie, go ahead and unmute. Oh, there you are. You'll have to unmute your phone. There you
All
go.
right. Okay. Hello, everyone. The Rotary year is getting close to an end as we're talking about the debunking party and all the other things at the end of the year. And that will conclude our points match for getting to the next level of your Rotary Paul Harris Fellow. So if you want to take advantage of that, you have until June 30th. So get with me to find out what you need to do to get to your next level and use matching points from the club. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. We have several people that we're going to be awarding, hopefully on the 18th. Lastly, please give the mic to past President Jim Cole.
Jim. You're unmuted, Jim.
Hi, everybody. Just wanted to touch base with you about the debunking party. You can see the themes just over my left-hand shoulder. And we're going to be having a good time with seeing everybody. It's going to be a live event at Rose Flacco's house. It's going to be catered. We're going to have a bar. And as President Jackie mentioned, for the event at Jerry Senes's house, under the COVID-19 rules, we have to have RSVPs so that we know that you're coming and we can plan accordingly. So if you don't RSVP, you certainly can attend by Zoom. And if you're not wanting to or not ready to meet in a group, that's fine. We'll have the Zoom TV set up and you'll certainly be able to see and hear everything that's going on, but it's going to be a great time. We're going to celebrate all of Jackie's accomplishments. And we have a fire truck. So if you've got some spare fire hoses, please bring them and we'll send Jackie out in grand style.
I better put my scuba gear back on, huh? Thank you, Jim. Okay, the raffle drawing. We don't have a raffle drawing. Sorry about that. Please turn the microphone over to Rob Tejas, please, to introduce our speaker.
All right, I'm going to mute everybody real quick. All right, Rob. All right, Rob, you're unmuted.
Got it. Hey, everybody. It's a pleasure to see you all, and it's a real pleasure to have the opportunity to introduce Lynn Goya. She's a great person. I guess I'll start off by saying that Lynn has served in her capacity as the Clark County Clerk since 2015. And in that capacity, she's served in several critical roles. She is the secretary for the Clark County Commission and several other important county boards. She also maintains filings for fictitious firms and notaries. But one of her more impactful roles has been in issuance of marriage certificates. She's been very much a passionate advocate for marriage and in turn, the greater Las Vegas community. As for Lynn herself, I consider her to be someone who is very hardworking. She's a passionate advocate, and I also consider her to be a great friend. So it is, again, my pleasure to introduce Lynn Goya.
So am I on? I guess Rob got muted. I'm Lynn Goya. I am the Clark County Clerk. This is an elected position. Can you guys hear me? Just like nod or clap or something. Yes, okay, good. This is an elected position. So I first started in January of 2015. And during the campaign, which is countywide, so it's pretty big, during the campaign, a lot of people in the wedding industry told me that the industry was in trouble and that they needed someone that could speak on their behalf. So that has become a big part of what I consider my job. And I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail later. But yeah, I appreciate you, Rob. It's been really fun. We campaigned together is how we got to be friends. I do also consider you a good friend. And I want to thank President Thornhill for inviting me today. So I have a PowerPoint. I'm hoping that it will work. If not, I can go through it without. I'm going to put the share screen on so you can see my PowerPoint. So the clerk's office, as Rob said, does a number of things. We do fictitious firm names, passport exceptions, acceptance, all marriage records. We're secretary for all the county boards and commissions, including the new Stadium Authority Board. We are the keeper of permanent public records, which is a big deal. And I'll talk about it a little bit more later as well. Because if you think about it, why does anyone keep permanent records? Because that's the history of the county. So the clerk's office is responsible for a lot of the documents, mostly through the boards and commissions of how the county was founded and the key information that happened and key decisions that happened over time. So we also, permanent record management includes now so much is digitized that we also talk about long-term storage. We also take the bonds and oaths of notary publics, and we do proof of life for those people who have overseas pensions and need to make sure that their government wants to make sure that they're still alive. So these are the boards that the clerk's office oversees. What we do is we manage the agenda and take the minutes and make sure that the records are available to the public. We have 3 offices, theoretically. We have the main office here on 201 East Clark Avenue. We also have an office at the Government Center where the secretaries for the boards reside, as well as a public service counter. And then we also have a part-time office in Laughlin and Henderson. Right now, we only have the one office that is in the Regional Justice Center. The rest, due to the COVID-19, have not been open. So one of the big issues for me, I came as a journalist. I was a journalist for 30 years. And so I've used public records. So one of the most important things that I think that I've started on is ensuring government transparency. So as you can imagine, over 100 years, we have had, I'm the 10th county clerk. And so you've had 10 systems of organizing your documents. So we have files and files of historical documents. And that means that if you want to look at something, that you need to come and look through the historical records. And it's almost impossible for anybody that's not within the clerk's office to find anything. And so one of my major initiatives, and we started 2 years ago, and I had hoped that it would be done the end of last year. It's maybe the end of this year. We will get it done, is to digitize the entire archive and make sure that we develop a Google-like public search engine so that you can look up anything, what happened during the Great Depression, and you'll be able to look at the boards and minutes and meetings of the key decisions that made our valley what it is. Let's see. So the clerk's office also, what you might be surprised at, is involved in some legislation. Each year, or every other year, we go up to the legislature and we, as a state organization of all of the clerks within Nevada, put forth certain legislation that we think is important or clean up things that are issues that we've seen. So in 2015, it was already beginning when I took office, but the county clerk's office took over the filing of the marriage certificate process from the county recorder in Clark County only. And so that was a major effort, but for the first time, it put the marriage certificate and the marriage license in the same office. And so we were able to better manage what was happening between the two. And what we found was that a lot of officiants were filing very, very late. They were holding marriage certificates to upsell customers and wouldn't give them their marriage certificate and wouldn't file the marriage certificate until the customer paid the higher fee. There were a lot of people that were not marriage officiants that thought that they could marry anybody because they got a 2-minute online application from an organization that said that they license officiants. And what we're finding is that a lot of documents were never filed at all. So now with the Real ID and our generation going into Social Security, when people needed to show their marriage certificate for government ID, it was missing quite often. I remember actually within the first year when I was here, a couple that had been married 30 years, kids wanted to throw them a 30-year anniversary party. So they wanted to get their marriage certificate. They went and looked and it wasn't there. And so that means that all of the GI benefits that he'd been earning on her behalf, he wouldn't have been able to provide to her. That if he died, she wouldn't have access to his estate. She would not be able to make medical decisions for her partner. And they were Catholic, and so, you know, he's shaking and she's crying and she's worried that her children are illegitimate. So making sure that marriage licenses are followed correctly, that the officiant understands what the legal responsibilities are that they need to provide to ensure that that marriage is conducted according to the law, and making sure that they file that certificate within 10 days has been a major effort on our part. And I could talk about just that for probably half an hour. But one of the things that we got changed into the law was up to a $1,500 civil fine. So it moved from the criminal code to a civil fine, so that the clerk's office could send out up to a $1,500 civil fine for somebody who married people without having the proper authority. And once we started doing that, and we didn't send them out for $1,500, I sent a letter out that said, you know, $500, and if they, you know, told me what the problem was, then we usually reduced it to $100, or said, go ahead and take your efficiency training program and then we'll waive it entirely. But that threat of the $1,500 meant that instead of dozens of unlicensed efficients marrying people the first year, it's just a pittance at this point. It's not even an issue anymore. We also started tracking whether they were filing it within 10 days as required by law and sending out notices on those. So we would print out all the notices for that particular efficient, how many times they've been late, and we sent those out quarterly and started saying that, you know, we would take action if they did not file their marriage certificates on time. So between those two things, we believe that very few marriage certificates are not filed. And that doesn't necessarily protect the couple right now as much as it protects a couple who didn't realize they had to get a certified copy of the marriage certificate. But 30 years later, when they're looking for it, they can't find it and they have no idea who married them or where the documentation is. So part of the clerk's duty is to license marriage officiants. And we also found that marriage officiants often didn't know what the laws are. So in 2018, we began a training class that was required for all new marriage officiants. And basically we take them through all of the statute, all of the laws of what they need to do. But it also talks about some of the rights and responsibilities that they have. With this COVID-19 issue, I know a couple of states have toyed with or temporarily let marriage county clerks offer virtual marriage certificates and potentially virtual weddings. I have a big problem with this because we don't see this very often, but we do see it every year, where someone comes in who is not either willing or able to make that kind of a major decision about their life. So we've had people come in that say, oh, we have the power of attorney and I want them to marry this person. And the person that's there does not know why they're there. They don't know what the marriage license bureau is. And clearly they aren't in a position where they can make that kind of decision where you're basically turning over your life and estate to your partner. We've also had people that were coerced. So you need to be willing and able to make these kinds of, it's a legal ceremony, probably the most important legal ceremony or legal contract that you sign in your life. And so if you're not willing or able, then that's a problem. And that's why I don't really support the virtual weddings or the virtual marriage certificates, because that gives us one more level of security that the person is both willing and able. We have had pimps bring in their prostitutes and try to get them married so that they have, again, more control over them. Where the woman slipped us a note with their documents that said, you know, I need help. We are lucky here at the Marriage License Bureau that we have security on site. So when something like that happens, we can immediately get a security guard over there who can protect the woman and separate her from the person who's trying to abuse her. So those are the kinds of issues that I had never dreamed of being part of when I took this job, but it makes you understand how important marriage is and how unique it is as a civil contract that helps couples ensure the integrity of their relationship and the integrity of their estate and often their health. So sometimes legislation is brought forth that we are not really excited about. For instance, in 2017, AB 204 was brought forth by a legislator who said that someone was having a hard time getting their name changed because they were male. And so they required that we provide a name change option on every marriage certificate. And when we said you have an opportunity when legislation impacts your department to say what the fiscal impact is. And so I put down that it was probably about $100,000 fiscal impact. And the legislature said, you're just making that up because I'm from the opposite party. And I said, no, that's what we think it will cost us to do this, because she goes, it's just adding a bubble on your document. Well, when you have third-party vendor who creates your documents, adding a bubble means you have to go to the vendor, custom code your software and work with them to make sure that everything comes into place. In addition, you know how difficult it is sometimes to make a decision like that. And some people don't think about what name they want until they're up at the marriage license window. So I reached out to California clerks to see how they had implemented it when it passed in California. And they were saying, if you can not do it, don't do it. But that wasn't possible. So what I did is I met with the state DMV, Social Security, and the State Department to make sure that whatever decisions we made, that we wouldn't have a slip between what the couple chose with us and then it wouldn't be accepted at the next government agency. So we came up with a system. We actually had the vendor create a drop-down menu so that when you typed in your name, that you would only have the options that were available based on the name that you typed in. You weren't required to change your name at that time, but if you wanted to, then you had to pick from the pre-selected list. And so this database is basically what we came up with. And we implemented that so that if your name was Smith Jones, that you could have all these options, but you had to take the options that we provided. And so instead of taking another 5-minute estimate at each window, when couples wanted to figure out what their name was, it really didn't seem to impact our office at all. And we were able to function really quickly. And then we passed this along to the other county clerks who don't have the same resources that Clark does, so that they could implement the same program. And then in 2019, this COVID has clearly shown why everybody wants you to have all this high level technology. But what people don't understand is if you keep government fees really low, then there's no money to implement these things. They all cost quite a bit to implement. And so what the Clerks Association did in 2019 was get a $5 technology fee added to every document that was filed within our office. And with that fee, we now had enough resources that we could implement new things. Like one thing that we do at Fictitious Firms Names, any of you that have had a business knows that every 5 years you have to renew, but right now we just send you a card and you have to come in person to file the fictitious firm name. But that's kind of ridiculous in this day and age. And so one of the new services that we are going to contract this year, now that we have some funds, is to set up an online renewal for fictitious firm names. And then with marriage certificate filing, we also have a program that we would like to do to make it much more simple and easy for officiants to file a certificate without worrying about it being lost in the mail or having to take a specific trip down to the Marriage License Bureau. And then for permanent documents, almost everything is done digitally at this point. And so if a record is a permanent record, that means it needs to be there in 100 years or 200 years. And how do I know? I don't know how many of you have, floppy disks that you thought were great for storing your stuff, and now there's no way to even read it. Digital technology is so quickly changing that it's very hard to figure out, well, what do I need to put in place now to have permanent storage? And that's what cold storage is how do you have these documents that can't change even one bit for 100 years, and how do you ensure that? So we have been kind of spearheading that effort for the county and moving forward so that we do have permanent public records, not, oh, oops, we chose the wrong platform and now everything's gone. So back to the Marriage License Bureau is probably the largest effort that we do. It became a destination for weddings way back in 1931. And it was basically California passed a gin law that said you needed to have a 3-day waiting period to make sure that you weren't drunk. So Nevada responded in 1931 by getting rid of all waiting periods, getting rid of the blood test, and making it super easy for couples to come here and get married. And it's worked almost immediately. So in 1929, John Gilbert and Ina Claire got married here. That's the first celebrity wedding that we ever had. And then I don't know how many of you know Rex Bell and Clara Bow. Clara Bow was the it girl, and Rex Bell was one of our lieutenant governors. He actually was an actor first, but he ran for governor and had a heart attack during the campaign, or he probably would have been one of our governors. So obviously the fees have changed a lot in the last 100 years. And here's how the fees are made up right now. So right now it's $77 to get a marriage license. Of that $77, $10 goes to the clerk's office, $21 goes to the general fund, $25 goes to domestic violence prevention fund up to the state, $4 goes directly to the state, and then we added $3 technology fee a few years ago. And then in 2015, right after I was elected to office, I did go up to the legislature and ask for some funds so that I could work with the industry and local stakeholders to increase wedding tourism. So we got $14 on every marriage license implemented at that time. So the money doesn't just go to the county. One of the things I'm most proud of is that we are pretty much the marriage licenses and marriage certificate fees are the major funder of domestic violence prevention funds. So last year, Clark County gave over $22.6 million to the state. That's divided up throughout the counties. Now, we're not the only county that contributes, but by far the largest amount of money comes from Clark. And in Clark, then we got about 1.8 million back that was divided between the Rape Crisis Center, Safe Nest, and Safe House. So the smaller counties do very few. Some of them do only a handful of weddings per year. And so some of this fund goes to those smaller counties to also help their domestic violence prevention programs. So some of the things that happened over the last 100 years in the wedding industry is, and a lot of these are unique to Clark County even now. So we have standalone wedding chapels that's what they do all day, every day is conduct marriages. Obviously people can still get married in the church here, but from the tourist side, almost all of them go to a standalone chapel or the Bellagio or now some of these mobile wedding sites. We do about 72,000 weddings a year. Of those 72,000, about 20%, about 15,000 a year are locals, and the rest are out of state. Of that 80%, about 20 to 25% are international. So we get people literally from all over the world coming to Clark County to get married. And part of it is because it's a real bargain, because if you don't have to, pay for the flowers and all of the things that are one-offs in other locations, they're already provided here, and we have it all in a streamlined process to make it really simple for couples to come.
Lynn?
Yes.
We have lots of questions So we need to get to those if you're ready.
Get what?
We have lots of questions and we need to get to those if you're ready.
Oh, okay. I'll give you the PowerPoint if you want. People keep saying that we have other destinations are outperforming us. But last year we did 72,000 license. Hawaii does about 20,000. Even Jamaica as a country does about 50. So yeah, I would be happy to answer questions. There's lots more. I said there's so much to talk about. That
send us that PowerPoint. I know I, as a marriage officiant, would be very interested in it. And
okay.
if you just want to send it, we'll get it disseminated. So I'm going to open it up to our Sergeant at Arms to ask you some questions.
All right. So first question, are you running for re-election?
These are great offices that are every 4 years. And so I will be running again, what is it, 2023, right, Rob? 2024, 2023. It's 4 years. This is my second year. Yeah, 2 more years. So not next year, but the following year. And I'd love your support, obviously.
And then could you elaborate a little bit more on how the wedding business has been impacted during the pandemic?
Yeah, we were actually doing fabulous, right, literally up to the day before the Marriage License Bureau closed. So Clark closed its Marriage License Bureau before anyone else, any other clerk's office in the state. And I think that was March 18th. So we were up about 20% for the year so far. So we were very excited. And then of course the pandemic happened. We completely shut down because we knew that we were getting about 200 couples per day. And we know that they go to the chapels and they bring their friends. And so we decided safety wise, we had to shut down. It caused kind of a stir, obviously, but we were also the first department to open back up. So we've been open up close to a month now. We implemented a number of safety protocols that seem to be working really well. And, you know, our numbers are obviously really a lot lower than they used to be, but we have hope that it will come back again. It doesn't just impact us, it impacts the chapels. It's about a $2.5 billion industry for Clark County. So you can imagine the exponential effect of us closing our offices.
All right. And then with the protests and what happened recently, do you know what caused the closure of the Regional Justice Center?
Yes, so the Marriage License Bureau is in the Regional Justice Center. And so we closed Saturday night, I think Sunday night, Monday night, I think last night. I have to say it's going to get to be, it's a big blur right now in some ways. So what had happened is there's a fusion center, which is national security. They have all sorts of resources to monitor social media and how people are planning to do things. On Monday, they got a notice that someone was sending out a call for guns. You know, bring your guns, the war is on. So obviously we closed that night as well. And that was the night that the officer was shot. So it was a real threat. We work really closely with security and the fusion center. And if it appears to be a threat, then we will evacuate the building. So that was basically, in a nutshell, we were told to evacuate.
All right. And then can Nevada notaries act as marriage officiants?
They can. It used to have a special process for them that went with their notary expiration. But truly anymore, if they want to be a notary, they still have to apply as a notary to become a marriage officiant. But we've made it so streamlined with the training class that it's actually easier and cheaper for them to just go through the training class and not bother with the notary portion of it.
What recourse is available for marriage officiants who act recklessly?
So the clerk in each county authorizes, gives permission to perform marriages to the marriage officiants. So you have to go through the clerk's office to do that legally. And so if marriage officiants are not following the law or not acting ethically, basically if they are not in good standing with the clerk can call them in for a hearing and revoke or suspend their license.
All right. So kind of being a notary where the notary assesses the competency of the signers.
No, what?
I don't understand that one. So moving on.
Well,
Okay, go ahead.
I asked that question, Lynn, and I'm also a notary as well as a petition. And we're required to assess the competency of the signers before we proceed. And you were just talking about the same kind of thing, assessing the competency of the couple getting married. And they weren't
correct
or anything. Same thing as as I go through on the notary side as well. That's what I was just saying.
Okay, yes. Because when you're signing a document, it's a legal document, and if you aren't competent or willing, then the document isn't legal.
No, I step away immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
The next question, do you do business licenses for the county and the city?
We don't do business license at all. We do I do marriage efficient licenses, which are permission to perform marriages.
All right, and everybody, yes to online filing. And
yeah,
then,
we're working on it.
Yep. And the next question is, I guess suggestion, the Library of Congress uses microform or microfilm on glass plates for long-term storage. Have you considered this? And they have a parallel electronic database to search for the microform plate, so the eyeball compatible microform never expires with new technology.
Well, we're looking into the different cold storage options. That one's brand new. If they're already using it, they're ahead of the game. So that's one of the things we're looking at, but I didn't realize that at this point that it was basically available.
I think that's, oh, here's another one. What has the county learned about working remotely and transitioning more processes online?
Well, I think what people don't realize, like the DMV has gotten in such trouble because they can't process the applications. One thing, you have a set staff, and so all of a sudden you have multiples of what your normal workload is. And then it also costs money to have up-to-date software. Even we know that from home, right? You want to get your computer goes bad every 3 or 4 years. If you have a 5-year-old computer, it's very old. And until there's a funding source like we put on for the clerks, where we have a technology fund we can use to keep things up to date, it's going to continue to be a problem. I think that the county is looking at a number of options where they can work remotely, but quite a few of those things, it takes time and money to get them in place. Like we couldn't automatically do remote FFNs.
Awesome. And I think that's our last question.
Well, Lynn, I want to thank you for joining us today and keeping us up to date on what's going on in the clerk's office, particularly as it relates to marriage, because we know that, as you mentioned, is a huge business for our county. And I know it's been interrupted a little bit by the pandemic, but I think we're going to get started because I've noticed that the bookings are already on the rise. And
oh, good.
We have, especially with the people that are booking out end of June and into July with the casinos. So I know we've got some things going on, and I was very happy to hear from you today. And I have also filed several fictitious names over with my businesses over the years. And I just want to congratulate you on your very, very nice and competent and to the point staff that works at the desk there when I go in.
I think I have the best staff in the county.
Well, you probably do, because they seem like they're extraordinarily nice. So if you would get us that PowerPoint, we would be very happy to have that, and we can pass that around so that we can get some other information. And the best of luck to you getting everything back up to speed, just like the rest of our state. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. See, we're all giving you a big clap here. So in the words of a woman I most admire, Amelia Earhart, no kind action ever stops with itself. One kind action leads to another. Let's leave today taking kind action. If I can get mine. Oh, I guess I can't. Taking kind action, serving one another, and rejoicing in the fellowship of Rotary. So meeting is adjourned. And also a couple of the members have asked if we couldn't just stay on for a few minutes afterwards so from fellowship. So Kirk has agreed to do that. So not everybody is going to be limited. So going to be eliminated from meetings. So